I just want to let you know that Bet Rivers has just put out lines for the Champions Classic games. So while you think about who your officially official Final Four picks are going to be, let's talk a little bit about these games. Kansas at BetRivers.com is laying 5 against Michigan State. That total is 145.5. If you like the dog, Michigan State's money line is plus 180. That means that if you bet $100, you will win. You will profit $180. You'll win $280. That's how those money lines work. Duke is favored by 1.5 against Kentucky. The total for that game is 149.5, and Duke's money line is plus 104. Let's start with the first game. Kansas, Michigan State, 5-point line. T.O., I'm going to you first. I'm teeing you up. I'm throwing up that lob. What do you got?
Give me Kansas. I just feel like their skill level is so much higher than Michigan State's is so far this year, at least from what I've seen from last season. Max Christie has to be really, really good. And golly, what a way to welcome into college basketball than to play Kansas first game. I think that's going to be difficult. So go ahead and give me Kansas. I think that they will actually think they'll cover, because I think it's going to be a huge adjustment for Tyson Walker as well. And then the freshman, Max Christie's jumping right in, unless he's kind of a Zion type freshman, which he hasn't been billed as such. I think it's going to be a little bit of an adjustment period. And I think Michigan State's going to be better this year, but I do have a lot of respect for Bill Self in Kansas. I think he's actually going to get Remy to play the right way eventually, but I think Kansas has enough that they'll be able to cover.
Fanta?
I think Michigan State's going to cover the spread.
Let's go.
I'm going to go with the Spartans. I just have a gut feeling about this game. I think that my biggest question with Michigan State is, in addition to Walker, T.O., absolutely. Like, does he translate? It's a sizable jump to go from Northeastern to the Big Ten. But will Malik Hall be the breakout guy for the Spartans? If Malik Hall is that breakout player for Michigan State, that's the type of player that can really be a leading force for a Tom Izzo-led team. He's 6'7". He's a combo forward. He does a lot of little things well, and he showed some real flashes last season. What does Malik Hall bring to the table now this season? And then will the real Joey Hauser show up? Joey Hauser last year was a disappointment for this Michigan State team. They need him to have a bounce-back campaign. I think that Walker's an upgrade from Rocket Watts. I don't know how big of an upgrade it will be. I think Michigan State comes into this game being totally counted out, not having a number next to their name. I think Kansas may still be figuring out. Kansas is the more talented team, but you guys all know this. In November, sometimes the more talented team just doesn't win for whatever reason. I think Tom Izzo's got it pegged up on a bulletin board that his Spartans team is kind of being counted out in a loaded Big Ten. I kind of like that dynamic, and I think that this Spartans team isn't as bad as maybe they showed at times last year. I like Michigan State to cover. I don't know if they win the game, but I think they're going to hang around and could see them doing something late in this game to cover the spread. Give me the Spartans.
So I tend to lean towards Michigan State in this spot as well for a couple reasons. One, Jalen Wilson got the DUI. He's not going to be playing.
Oh, yeah. I didn't take that into account. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I didn't. I forgot all about that. There's just so much drama. There's so much drama going on right now in college hoops. Like, I just get lost in the shuffle. Some drama. some drama. Some drama.
Drama? What is
drama?
Drama?
I'm just kidding. Drama.
Is that a Southern thing?
No,
that one like a split hole.
It's a bullshit thing.
All right. So I tend to lean towards Michigan State. Jalen Wilson not going to be there. I'm a little bit worried about Remy Martin as well. Two things stand out to me. One, he did not start their exhibition last night. He had 16 points and 4 assists, but he did not start the exhibition. And my understanding is that's the kind of thing where Bill Self is trying to send this dude a message saying, like, look, you need to be on the same page with me. And another thing stood out. We had Jesse Newell on the Kansas preview episode yesterday. And what he said is that Remy Martin at Big 12 Media Day, when they asked what was the most difficult thing that you have to get used to, he said, I don't run back to the ball. Meaning, when you kind of get into a play and you get into an action, you're supposed to go to a place, space the floor, and stay in that set. He has a habit, what happened at Arizona State, Every time he gave up the ball, he'd run back and go get it, and in the last 10 seconds would be an isolation for him. So he hasn't figured out like exactly how to operate as a point guard within the system where he's not going to be the guy asked to take 20 shots a game. And that to me is a red flag. So those two things make me tend to think that Michigan State will be ready off the jump a little bit more. I also think it's worth noting Michigan State had a bunch of COVID issues last season. Every time it felt like they started getting things going in the right direction, they were shut down for a couple of weeks. So I like Michigan State in that spot. It's never a bad idea to bet on Tom Izzo. All right, Duke laying 1.5 against Kentucky. That total is 149. Fanta, I'm going to you on this one first.
I am taking Kentucky in this game. I think they're the best value of the entire night. I love the Wildcats. I think there's a dynamic to playing Duke this season, knowing it's Coach K's last round and being able to say that you won that game. I also think there's a dynamic that Kentucky just had their worst year in a very, very, very long time. And I think that has served as an off-season point. While there's different players, it's still the same coach and it's still the same Big Blue. And I think that Kentucky comes out in this game. I think Oscar Tshiebwe is going to unveil to America the kind of leap that he has taken in the offseason. And I believe that Kellen Grady is a guy who could end up being the top player in the Southeastern Conference when it's all said and done, because I think he's the perfect fit for Coach Cal's style. The key for me is just how good is Severe Wheeler. And will he come into this program and be efficient? Will he make the right plays? We're going to know right away. Like Kentucky's backcourt last year, no semblance of any rhythm. Mm-hmm. I think now with Wheeler in the fold, with some of those returnees, it's Paolo Banchero's collegiate debut, but there's more than Paolo Banchero on the floor. And I still have some more questions that I need to know the answers to with Duke at this stage of the game. I think there's going to be a lot of pressure around this game. I think Coach K is going to be the center of media attention all day on Tuesday. When Get Up comes on the air, they're going to be pumping it out. Like, they're going to come on the air. They're going to say, we are at the Garden tonight. College basketball's back. Let's focus on a half hour with Coach K. Don't tell me that stuff doesn't matter. It does. All that stuff, it's going to be a lot, and particularly on Tuesday, when it's your first game of the year. And oh, by the way, you have to play the Kentucky Wildcats. I'm going with UK in this game. I think they're in a better place today. I do.
I watched both exhibitions, but Duke's exhibition with Winston-Salem State, it was ridiculous. I think they were up 50 at half. Like, it was a joke.
Yeah, I watched that. There was one point the score was 63-10.
Yeah, it was like it was absurd. But there was a couple of things that happened. One, they shot the ball well. Of course, Winston-Salem State doesn't have that kind of length. But watching Kentucky's exhibition was a little bit different. Their length and athleticism, and Ty Washington and Damian Collins, they are eye-popping. And the other freshman that they stole from Louisville, that reminds me a lot of, was it PJ Washington? Gosh, what's the kid's name?
Bryce.
Yep. Yeah, I just blanked on it big time.
Bryce Hopkins?
Bryce Hopkins. He was impressive. And with all those veterans on that team, I keep making myself want to say Kentucky. I want to say Kentucky. But I think Mark Williams and Paolo Banchero are going to be too good. So be the devil's advocate, give me Duke. Give me Duke. I think they can pull it off, because I think Oscar Tshiebwe is the big thing that Kentucky didn't have last year. But I think that Mark Williams with his length can negate that a little bit. So give me Duke.
So I tend to lean towards Fanta's side here, but that's just because of what the line is, right? I think that these two teams are even. I don't think that there should be a point difference.
There should be a pick 'em.
Yeah, I think it should be a pick 'em. So I think if you're
be by Tuesday morning, it might be.
Yeah, so I think if you're getting Kentucky at plus value, you gotta take Kentucky as the underdog in the spot. But I mean, we're going to get into this with our final four picks. I think that these are two of the 5 best teams in college basketball, and we'll be saying that as the season kind of moves along. You mentioned Ty T.O. That dude,
I thought he was excellent.
Yeah, I think he's going to end up being a monster. To me, I think he's going to take over that starting point guard spot. He's so good on the ball, and the way that he can kind of get to his spots and make shots. I'm very excited to see what he can kind of develop into this year. He's got shooting all over the floor around him this year. He's got big guys. They can go with lineups where you play Damian and Big Sheep together. You can put Keon Brooks at the 4, and all of a sudden you have a very modern lineup. You roll like CJ Frederick and Kellen Grady out there with him. So I'm very bullish on what this Kentucky team could end up being. Same thing with Duke. I watched a bunch of film of Paolo Banchero this week.
Yeah.
Like,
Some of the stuff he did in that exhibition.
Just wait till you see what this dude is capable of doing. Like he is special. As much hype as guys like Chet Holmgren and Jaden Hardy are getting, to me, like by December, I think my hottest take for the draft cycle is going to be that Paolo Banchero is the clear-cut, obvious, definitive number 1 pick in this year's draft come like mid-December. He's special. He's